The Avengers, Ranking the Seasons. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ranking the Seasons, where I rank the seasons of some of my favourite television shows. This week it's The Avengers, which I'm going to include all 6 seasons of the original 60s season and the 2 seasons of the new Avengers in the 1970s. Now that means 8 seasons in total, but I'm going to rank them in terms of 6, because there's going to be a 3-way tie. So let's just get on with it. In 6th place, I would put seasons 1, 2 and 3 of the original The Avengers. Now season 1 is mostly missing, of course, apart from a couple of episodes. Seasons 2 and 3 are both complete. I'm just not a big fan of the first few seasons. It's so different to the show that it became and the show that I'm a fan of that it's kind of hard to get into. Even though you've got Patrick Macnee there still being wonderful, it's so different in kind of tone and in execution. You know, it's all shot on videotape, unlike film, which it starts shooting on from season 4 onwards. The tone is much more kind of serious and less kind of fantastical. And I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Kathy Gale. I find her kind of irritating, honestly. I haven't even watched all of seasons 2 and 3 because I find it really difficult to sit through them. It's just it's a different show, really, to what it became and to the show that I'm really a fan of. So I'm afraid they have to kind of go in last place. 5. The New Avengers Season 2. Now, it's unfortunate that this has to go here because New Avengers started off pretty well. The first season starts off pretty well. Unfortunately, Season 2 is pretty much struck down by unfortunate off-screen events, namely that the financial backers pulled out early in the season and they had to go running around trying to get financing from elsewhere. First from France, which meant they had to shoot in France, which wasn't too bad, but then they had to basically get money from Canada, and they had to go to Canada and shoot it, and I think it was even staffed by Canada TV. And it just looks different. It doesn't look like the Avengers. It looks like this weird late 70s Canadian TV show. That happens to have Patrick Macnee in it. It just doesn't really look or feel like the Avengers. There's some interesting things about the season. I mean, the opening episode, the season premiere, Dead Men Are Dangerous, is a pretty solid thriller episode. And even the last episode, despite the Canadianness of it, it's interesting that it's basically a kind of precursor to the X-Files season 1 episode Ghost in the Machine. It's basically an AI in a building that's killing people, that's pretty ahead of its time for 1977. But yeah, season 2 is a bit of a struggle at times, which is a shame. 4th place, The New Avengers Season 1. Now, I even though this is only just ahead of Season 2, I have to say Season 1 is much better than Season 2. I really like Season 1 of The New Avengers, and it's a great shame that it didn't get kind of a longer run, because it really kind of brings the show back and revamps it in a very intelligent way. It's much more 1970s. It's kind of much more firmly rooted in the real world of the mid-70s rather than the increasingly fantastical 60s seasons, and yet at the same time it's still got that fantastical Avengers edge to it. I mean, you've got the first episode is an attempt to bring Hitler back from the dead, and later in the episode later in the season there's a fantastic monster episode with Norse, which is basically a giant rat in the sewers of London. That's an absolute classic. That's one of my favorite episodes. And it really works. I mean, Patrick Macnee, even though he's visibly older, is still as great and as charming as ever. And Joanna Lumley works really well as Purdy, the new Avengers girl. I'm not that keen on Gambit. Mainly because I kind of think the character seems a little bit unnecessary. Because he's clearly there to kind of do the physical stuff, because they didn't think Patrick McNee could do that anymore, and yet he's not that old. The actor himself kind of fought to get more stuff like that to do, because he was still quite capable of doing it. It just seems that character seems a little bit unnecessary to me. But I still generally really like season 1 of the New Avengers. Oh, there's also like a third, another encore appearance by the Cybernauts from the 60s, which is another really good episode, another good SF episode. So yeah, I really like the season 1 of the New Avengers. It's a shame it kind of got clobbered with season 2. 3. Season 4. Now, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I got a serious spanking in my Avengers Season 4 review for admitting that I prefer this Season 6 to it. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it again. I like Season 4. It's really the beginning of the Avengers as I kind of think of it. It's shot on film. It's much glossier. It's much more kind of stepping into the world of science fiction and fantasy. And of course we have the glorious Diana Rigg as the glorious Emma Peel introduced. My only problem with season 4 is that, as I said in that review, some of the episodes can be a little bit samey, because they're still kind of partly, even though we're heading into increasingly fantastical territory, they're still kind of partly rooted in the style of seasons 2 and 3. And even though it kind of looks better and the production's slicker, those episodes still don't entirely appeal to me a lot of the time. But it is a very good season, and I really enjoy season 4. 2. Season 6. I know I'm going to get stick. How dare I like season 6? How dare I like Tara? I'm sorry, but I do. As regular viewers of this channel will know, I like it when a show gets weird and wild and wacky, and season 6 is weird and wild and wacky. I just think, in terms of entertainment value, I'm sorry, I'd put season 6 over season 4, because there's just so much greater kind of variance in the plots, and they are getting pretty wild and pretty extreme. And I'm sorry, again, I like Tara. No, I don't like her more than Emma, but I do like her. I think she's a really good Avengers girl, and I just find the whole season very entertaining. There's some really great episodes in there, like Takeover and Fog, which is a great kind of evocation of a Jack the Ripper story in 60s London. It's very weird, but it's almost got like the atmosphere of Victorian London for some reason. Lots of fog everywhere. It's a really, really fun episode. Stay tuned. They keep killing Steed, Game, and many others. I really like season 6 a great deal. But at number 1, will probably come as no surprise, my favourite season of the Avengers is season 5. Because season 5, it's kind of like, it's the midway point, I guess, between season 4 and season 6. Because we're in colour, finally. We're in colour for the first time. But we still got Diana Rigg as Emma Peel, and we are increasingly heading into increasingly wackier territory. And I like that stuff. I mean, there's so many great episodes in season 5, like The Winged Avenger, the comic book episode, Dead Man's Treasure, which was actually the first episode of the Avengers that I ever saw. I saw that at a Doctor Who fan club in early 1993. And I liked it, but it took another 3 years for me to see anything else of the show when I found it on video at my local video shop. But the reason I rented them was because I remembered seeing that episode at the fan club in 93 and really enjoying it. Yeah, so many great episodes in season 5, like the Hidden Tiger, the one with the killer pussies. I don't think Mrs. Slocum would like that one. Escape in Time. Never Never Say Die, which has the great Christopher Lee in it as the man who seemingly can't die. Another Cybernauts episode, this time with none other than Peter Cushing. I mean, you get Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee in the same season. Shame we couldn't get them in the same episode, but we've got them in the same season. Yeah, I love season 5. It's definitely my favourite season of the Avengers. I just love the Avengers.